moving on to draw in the studio. To refine the sketches, I made open air. In this case, in particular, we will refine all the sketching regarding poles, objects, street lights, all the things that are regarding the identity of the city, that are improving this identity. Of course, not only objects, but also people, because the people are very important to define the main character of the city. Also, you can find them in the internet, in a street view, or by other means. We begin with this sketch regarding, for example, the very characteristic street lights of this district of Mexico City. These are kind of old-fashioned designed lamps that I am going to refine here, but I've seen also many electric poles like this, for example, that I can refine better before to go to Lightbox and make it in ink. Don't forget that all these elements are very important to enhance the perspective, because of course the poles and the street lights are all very vertical, very straight, and so there are many, and with more they are far away, with more they define the perspective. Together with the poles, the traffic lights and all these objects, if you try to pay attention to the entire environment that you are going to define, the electric cables in the air crossing the street or sublining the perspective once again are very important. Normally we don't pay attention about these things, but they are very helpful to improve the power of our illustration. They are actually like lines. They are following the perspective invisible lines. Here are other poles. Of course, they are very easy to draw. You could also decide to draw all these elements in a very sketchy and rough way, because you don't have to be so precise. They are just elements that don't have to be protagonists of the composition. The protagonist will be more architecture, people, and other stronger elements. There are a lot of street lamps, like in this case, and sometimes I exaggerate by drawing them, but it doesn't mean that you have to use all of these elements that you have drawn. You will choose later which elements it is better to scan, and you make a choice later. So now I think it's enough with street lights and poles and cables and so on. We can go to draw the people. So we now start drawing people, and people are absolutely one of the most important parts to define city identity. If you observe very carefully the people, the crowd in every different city, they are all more or less the same. I mean, they dress the same kind of colors or outfits in every different town. It has been very interesting to observe the people in Mexico City, because they are very colorful, and of course, being this city so international, you can see so many incredible people, incredible outfits, and I had a lot of fun by observing people and drawing people then. So I began to make many different sketches about people and also about animals, like this very special Mexican race of dog that is very typical here in Mexico and remind you immediately to this land. I already made some sketch around in the city and also decided to draw this Santa Muerte, the Holy Death, that is a typical character that you can find. So, for example, let's draw by memory and also being helped once again by the photographs. Let's begin to draw one of these very typical dogs that I've seen here in Mexico City. They have very big ears and very nice silhouette, very elegant. is a first sketch, only to have the idea of what I want to add to the composition at the end. And maybe I will not find the right place to put these people. I'm not so sure that I will find the position, but I will try later, because at the end, all this composition work is like a game. It's like creating a theater and putting all these characters on the stage. You can also decide to use your fantasy and create a new kind of dress design, fashion design for this character, but always remembering the characteristic of the people here in Mexico City and the many outfits that you can find. Everything must be somehow in a kind of a pleasant harmony. Now, I would like to have fun by refining other people, other characters and figures that I sketched during the open air process. For example, I would like to refine better La Santa Muerte that is so characteristic in this place. I have finished now drawing my characters, but you can go on trying by drawing and drawing all the characters that you want.